Captains of Industry, brought to you by Airtel.
The talk of the town in Nigeria, effectively, is the petroleum industry bill to be promulgated, hopefully, shortly after the elections. It's a set of reforms that are being proposed to try to deregulate the oil sector, sell off assets of major oil companies, and try to engender local investment in the oil sector. It's about indigenous capital, and it's about getting local ownership of what is seen as the birthright of Nigerians. A company well poised to take advantage of upcoming opportunities is the Sahara Group, which is a company formed in 1996 by a new breed of dynamic young Nigerians who've been set to shake things up, and shake things up is what they've done. Tonye Cole is the CEO of the Sahara Group, and he's our captain of industry tonight. I thank you so much for availing us your time. Now, I think it was fascinating for me to find out that you're an architect and today an oil baron. So that journey from architect to oil baron, what led you there?
I wouldn't say we're an oil baron, first of all. I think that's, yes, I know, well, we're still a long way from being barons as sense of barons. But to answer your question as to the journey, I loved architecture. Architecture prepared me for everything that I do today. However, we found ourselves in a space where there was a change, and you could perceive that we had to do something, and we had an opportunity to move into a space that didn't have many Nigerians, in fact didn't have many indigenous companies, but we sensed that there was a space. A partner of mine, Tope Shonobi, was also a classmate. We were in secondary school together, we studied architecture together, we were in class together, so we're both architects. But he had stumbled upon this opportunity and came knocking on the door saying, let's do this. And that's how we crossed over from architecture into oil.
Obviously, it's been over 10 years since the idea and the formation of the company, and obviously it's grown into various forms. Just talk to us about the story of the Sahara Group, from initially what it was as the energy resource company to what it is as a conglomerate in many ways.
Okay. When we started, and this is going back over 15 years now, when we went into a niche market, which was a trading business for the export of fuel oils. It was a market that was available. We saw that there was an opportunity to go in. But we also did this at a time when the military were in power, which meant that we found they could wake up any day, right? And with one strike, you're out. So very early, we determined that one of the key for survival was diversification, and also diversifying out of Nigeria. And so within 3 years, we had broken up the company into different structures. So we had the storage business, so we built tanks to go into assets. We had vessels, shipping. We were still doing the trading. We started looking at, we got a bit of property, and we started looking at other countries. Then we went into Ghana, Ivory Coast, and things like that. But I think our growth was more as a necessity for survival than at the beginning than a plan to just expand and go into different countries.
Well, has democracy brought about fundamental differences in the operational environment?
Yes, I would say it has. There are those who would always prefer a military regime because it's based on patronage. If you know the person in power, then your growth can be phenomenal. But democracy enables you to use your intellect. It opens up competition, which is very good. It lifts up the standards. And so we found that we've actually thrived more under the democratic government of the last 12 years than when we did in the previous 4 years of the military.
I'm going to underscore the word you use. The military thrives on patronage. And many people would say, looking at Nigeria today, although it's a very vibrant, dynamic space, it still has a lot of the old power brokers running and driving the economy and the political system. And some would argue things haven't really changed much, even though there's a new constitution.
I wouldn't agree with that. I believe that there have been changes. New players have come in, new power brokers, so to speak, have also emerged over the years. I sense that wherever I travel, that you would always find that there is an issue of, it may be called in different ways. Some may call it lobbying, but there's always old school ties and things like that. So you would always find that there's a need to get to know people, because it's the connection between people that makes the companies grow. So, but has it changed in Nigeria? Yes, the form and pattern with which it used to operate, say, 14 years ago, has definitely changed from what it is today. So yes, I think that there has been a change. I won't agree.
That wheeling, dealing culture, the connections that people need to form, how has that influenced your business? Many people who are critical of you say that you've gotten ahead because your father was very connected to the Obasanjo administration and so on and so forth.
Okay. My poor father has suffered greatly because of this story. For many years, he didn't even have an idea of what we were doing. And that's the way he's been. He took a policy to, quote unquote, educate his children. And once they've been educated and they left home, then whatever they do and how they set their lives up becomes theirs to live. And basically that's what happened in our case. And so for the first 4 years thereabouts, he had absolutely no clue as to what we were doing, what our business was about, and when anyone asked him, he would say the same. By happenstance, he came into government during the Obasanjo regime, and that was also a time when, for young independents like ourselves, we felt that there was a very strong need to use the new democracy and the openness of competition to push ourselves into business. And so we took full advantage of democracy that had come in. But because at that point in time we were also coming out and people were seeing us, it was assumed immediately that this had to do with my father. And I believe he eventually lost his job because of this perception. So for him, it didn't matter. He's moved on and I've moved on. I think it was just an unfair statement, but that's life. That's what you get sometimes.
Mentorship, because obviously somebody needs to help you along the way, encourage you, keep you going, see a different way. Who's played that role in your life?
It's a tough question, because the way and manner with which we have evolved has almost made it difficult for you to find one mentor and one individual that can understand where we're going. We see ourselves a lot of the times as pioneers going into an area or a business that hasn't existed here, a business space that we have found that we've had to create, which means that you have to see a vision that most people cannot see. And so if we look at any particular one individual who might have seen that same vision and driven us, it will be very difficult to pinpoint. However, along the line of our business, we've come across certain individuals that have stood and seen something in us. We may not understand exactly what it is, but they've seen something that they have liked and they've been fully supportive. And I think such people have made us who we are today.
I said earlier on that oil is often seen by Nigerians as their birthright. It's the endowment of the country, and they feel it is their right to have cheap and affordable energy and petrol because it is a resource that they have. I mean, in South Africa, we feel the same way about gold and platinum and diamonds. It's a birthright. And so philosophically, the decision to start Sahara Group, I don't think anybody questioned the need for a Nigerian-owned energy services company. But was it difficult? First, from the point of accessing capital, secondly, from navigating the political terrain, and then thirdly, facing up to these oil majors that had huge assets and investments in this part of the economy.
It was difficult, and it still is difficult. I'm not sure that it's become easier by the years that have gone by, for different reasons. The longer you go, the higher you grow, the bigger the opportunities that exist, and also the bigger the enemies that you have to fight. So it's been a battle all the way, even till now. Coming into the business at the beginning, at inception, we're faced with youth, okay, which was a problem, a major problem. We were on average 27, and we were talking and trying to do businesses that, as far as they were concerned, we had no business talking about. They didn't think that we should be talking about anything beyond $1,000, and there you are talking about businesses that are in the millions of dollars. So first of all, youth was the problem, so that was the major challenge that we had to start off with. We found an ingenious way to overcome that at the beginning, but we managed to do so. Then you had an issue where you were dealing with people who felt that the kind of patronage that they would give had to be at a level that was far beyond anything that you could cope with. We had to overcome that. Then we had entrenched players in the business, and these were entrenched foreign players who had kept and cornered that market almost as a cartel, so to speak. We had to break that. We managed to break that, and we still continue fighting same cartels.
This phenomenon of youth, that's the one thing that I find a bit fascinating about Nigeria in particular, is that obviously Nigerians are enterprising people. Nobody can argue that to that point. But there seems to be a trend at the moment where a lot of Nigerians from the diaspora, young, educated, hungry Nigerians are coming in and wanting to really re-engineer the economy. And they call people like you the young lions. What is it about today that makes it possible for young entrepreneurs to rise up? Okay,
I think I'd gone back at the beginning to say that we pioneered quite a lot of things, and I believe that people breathe, especially Nigerians, they breathe and live with the experience of others. And so when they see that somebody has done something and succeeded, or supposedly succeeded at it, then it gives them the encouragement to come forward. Since we went into this business, hundreds and hundreds have come after us, going into the same business, opening it up. It keeps the fire on our backside straight away, because it just means that we have to innovate, we have to create new things and go into new businesses, if not we'll be swallowed up. But Nigerians from time immemorial are traders by nature, and they're hungry for new things. They want to do what they see others doing and succeeding at. And so we have a huge plateau now of young people who are coming in purely because they've seen other young people do it and succeed. And I think that's just what it's about.